Hello, and welcome to Unlocking Real Estate, My First Commission. I'm your host, Tina Lapp, Head of Industry Relations and Career Excellence at Colibri Real Estate. I've been in real estate education for over 30 years, helping individuals enter and thrive in their real estate careers.
Welcome to Unlocking Real Estate, My First Commission, where we dive into real stories, big wins, and early lessons learned from highly successful rookie real estate agents and brokers. This is the podcast where we explore how real estate transforms lives, one home at a time, by sitting down each week with a new agent or broker who has found incredible success in their first year. Your hosts are instructors and leaders at Colibri Real Estate School, one of the largest real estate educators in the nation, where we focus on helping people like you get started or find continued success in their careers.
Today I talk with Dawsen Harbison. Dawsen came from the healthcare industry and account management. After facing some real-life challenges, she chose real estate and she's never looked back. Dawsen closed 10 transactions in her first year, and she continues to build that business. Stick around to hear how she embraces people and her community, and she's built her real estate business. So we are here today with Dawsen Harbison. Dawsen, will you take a moment to introduce yourself, where you live, and what company you're with?
Yes, my name is Dawsen Harbison, like Miss Tina shared. I am here in Oklahoma. I work with Capital Real Estate and Asset Management Group.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm thrilled to have you. Looking forward to this conversation. Let's kind of go back to the beginning of your real estate journey. What were you doing before you got into real estate?
I worked in the healthcare sector. I actually did account management and staffing within large-scale universities for almost a decade.
Wow. So very different career for sure. So what inspired you to pursue a career in real estate? How'd that come about?
Yeah, so actually, my dream of joining real estate came into fruition after I had experienced being laid off in the healthcare sector right after my mom had passed away. These two double whammies really made me rethink, like, what do I want to do with myself? Life is short. Where do I want to be? How can I achieve those goals?
Wow. And so, like, it's time for a life change. A lot's happened to you, right? So why real estate? Like, how'd you even get exposed to real estate?
Yeah, so I have always had this adoration for the home flipping shows.
Okay.
I own my own property here in McLeod, in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And this property I bought for myself, and I thought I was going to live in it, and it turned into a rental property pretty quickly for me.
Okay.
I've had it for 3 years. I was like, you know what? I still really want to develop my rental portfolio.
Yeah.
I love real estate, the idea of the dreams that can come true that you're bringing to people when you're doing it. And then also just that long-term wealth that you gain from having a rental or a real estate portfolio in general.
Yeah. Okay. So here you are, you've got a property. Now you find yourself, have a rental property. And so you thought real estate, I'm going to dive in. This sounds good. So walk us through the process of getting your real estate license. Like, from the day you decided you're going to do it, like, what'd you do? How'd you find your school? Tell us about the process?
Yeah. Okay. So here in Oklahoma, there are two options, right? Probably the same for all states. You go inline or in person. You do it online or in person. And I thought to myself, like, okay, financially, what's going to make most sense here? The online version was about $30 a month. The in-person was like $600. And I thought, okay, I know I love school. I know I'm very self-driven. I think I can do the online version. So then I went to go and do a little bit more research into what online schooling was available. In Oklahoma, specifically, there's Kibo University, and it was owned by a real estate agent who developed the training for other, soon-to-be realtors. I felt like it hit home with my learning style as far as, like, here's the material, here's some quirky videos that we tied to it, and really, hone it in as your own, and then go take your training or go take your test for your training. That was so I did education on, did I want to do online or in person? Who had the best turnaround? I made sure to look at that, be based on the education. who produced the most realtors.
Yeah.
And then I went with that choice.
Yeah, that's great. So you chose online. How long did it take you to get through the courses from start to finish?
2 weeks.
That's amazing. So in 2
2 weeks.
weeks, 2 weeks, you went from your old life, all these things going on, to now you're a licensed real estate agent, and you did it
Yep.
online. Did it take a lot of discipline to do the online courses?
Crazily enough, I think people overwhelm themselves with the education part. It's
Yeah.
just like reading a book, a chapter book,
Yeah.
right? You have
Okay.
to digest each chapter.
Yeah.
So, really, your style of learning, you need to figure that out and you need to apply it. For me, it was I love audiobooks. It was very easy for me to digest this entire book, audio. And so that's what I did. And it was so easy. Like, it was
Yeah.
so easy. People
Good for
overwhelm
you.
themselves with the education, but it is so easy. You can do it.
I love it. I love it. And our audience are individuals who are considering a career in real estate oftentimes. And so understanding that, the education is probably the easiest part, right? um, so
Yes.
when you were going through, were you doing anything else at the time, or were you able to focus on your studies?
Yeah, actually, since it was online, it really freed up my life to do the other things I like doing. I'm a bit
Okay.
of a hustler. So I have a couple other businesses that I was doing on the side, and it really allowed me to continue doing those.
Okay.
Even if yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's great. So you were taking classes at different times throughout the day and on your schedule.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. It
yeah,
worked. I could do it late at night or early in the morning or even on a lunch break if I wanted to. It was very easy to just log in and digest what I could in that moment.
yeah. And it sounds
Yeah.
like you're a true entrepreneur, Dawson. Like you just
Yes.
alluded to, you're doing several other things. Do those tie into your real estate career at all? Like, is there any overlap with some of the other things you do with real
Yes.
estate?
Yes. So this is kind of corny, but like I also have a really big passion for my community. And so in the
Love it.
meantime, also pouring myself into, I wanted to learn how to do, like create like a homeless shelter. So pouring myself into learning how to run that organization was something that I was doing in my free time, as well as building a business and how to scale it. I was doing a lot of education on business management and administration, and just scalability.
Wow. Wow. I'm sure that plays into it. And we're going to dive a lot more into that. But just you made the comment and I thought I got to ask a little bit more about that. So, what challenges did you face going through the courses? Were there any really?
Yeah, I think you need to be disciplined. Taking the time to actually hone in on what is being said in the education and digesting it, even if it's to use, something else that will take the chapter and make it easier for you to understand in your own terms or
That's
your
good.
own language, essentially. I think the hardest part was reading something and being okay, like, what does that really mean though? If we're talking about the front foot, what is a front foot? I needed to visualize it.
Yeah.
That was probably the most hard part about it.
Yeah.
Honestly, online education is very, you need to do it. So,
Yeah, good advice, right? It's not going to read itself, so you got to actually do the work. Um, so you get through the courses in a couple of weeks. Now you're your own small business owner, life changing. What were your expectations going into your first year?
I knew, as does any real business entrepreneur, the first year is about building. It is about
Yeah,
the creation. It is about pouring your love into this beautiful little baby of an idea that you're
yeah,
developing into, an adult, a reality.
yeah,
Um, I think I knew the first year was going to be networking. That was my biggest, most valuable thing I could do would be to network. I knew that
yeah.
there was going to be some struggles. Thank God I had a support system. Build your support system. Those are things that I would pass on. In your first year, it's going to be tough because you're going to feel alone, and you need a support system to remind you that you're not alone, and everybody's doing the same thing you're doing as far as figuring it out. But to take it with grace and to have patience. That is what I knew my first year was going to be all about.
Wow. It sounds like you really stepped into this eyes wide open. Like you were reality, like this is reality. And then, so going in, knowing you're going to be learning all of that, how long after obtaining your license did you close your first transaction?
Oh man. Okay, that's a great question. I got my license in July. I joined a brokerage that allowed me to really hit the market running. They had a name brand,
Cool.
and so I could just go into it. And I closed my first house, I think it was September. So August, September.
2 months? That's amazing, and I know a lot of times people say it might take you 6 months, sometimes longer, so 2 months, absolutely awesome. Is there anything particular you remember or stands out to you about your first transaction?
Yeah, the relationship I built with the gentleman who bought the house that I was selling,
Mm.
he was very nervous. And so and I had to level with him and I was like, "Don't be nervous. You know, all things come with a leap of faith." And so the most memorable thing I have is my determination to not give up and allowing us to visualize and bring into fruition this other person's dream. I was like, we have this in the bag. This is exactly what you're looking for. Let's do it. Um, just the determination to keep going because it was tough.
Yeah,
It was
yeah. It was tough. I guess all transactions are in some way. We like the easy ones for sure, right? Um, so how'd you market yourself as a new agent? Were you ever concerned about credibility because you were new, and how'd you overcome that?
Yeah, that's a really great question because people don't know who you are. It doesn't matter what field or market you're breaking into, you're a
Yeah.
newbie. So I think the best thing for me, because I was worried, how could I be different than anybody else? There's 20 something thousand realtors, in this town. So what would stand out? I decided that I was going to throw like yard signs, like pop out of my car, put them up by the stoplight, by the stop sign. Hey, I'm Dawson. I do this, like come talk to me, even if it's just for information that you want. Like no business transaction, just I really want to learn something about, my house or the neighborhood or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. I like that a lot. That is definitely something unique and different. And so what marketing channels were most effective for you? Obviously the signs, right? You were doing the
Yes.
signs. What else worked for you?
I love the signs. In Oklahoma and probably in your state, we have like meetup networking groups
Yeah.
for realtors specifically, or just anybody who's selling, property in the space. Cause some people are wholesaling and they're not licensed. And I just want to say, including you too, is like networking, Facebook, Craigslist, Meetup, like these little things that have spaces for people to create events for others to come together
Yeah.
was the most impactful thing in my first year was meeting people, learning about what's going on, educating myself about what was already existing, but networking was the key.
Yes, I love that. And when you talk about networking, was it with the community and potential buyers and sellers? Was it with other agents? Was it all of the above? Like, tell us more about it.
Absolutely. First and foremost, other agents. Secondly,
Yeah.
contractors, lenders, insurance providers. I would say hit the market with a full and open, book of all these people and these different avenues tie into real estate and are very important for you to know. You could meet a fencer who's like, hey, my buddy's trying to buy a house. Can you help him out?
Yeah.
It is so important to broaden your horizon and not silo yourself thinking I should only know these certain people. They're the only ones that are going to turn, clients my way. Know everybody. Talk to everybody. I can't
Yeah.
stress that enough.
Yeah. Great advice, Dawson. And it sounds like that's what you did. So obviously then
Yeah.
that's worked for you. So what about open houses? Did you engage in open houses at all?
Absolutely. People might frown about open houses. I love them. I love them. I love them. I love them. Show up and show out. Even if you're not bringing the cookies and the water and the cute little paper things,
Yeah.
go to these houses. People will be there. Even if you have 5 open houses and no one shows up, the one that you show up to that they showed up to, that's where you're supposed to be at. That's why it's important to go. Like, yes.
That's great. And you're right. Like some people say yes, other people say no, I never get anything. And so I think it really is a skill.
Yeah.
So tell me about your biggest challenges during your first year. Like I'm sure it wasn't all roses, right? Like what was most difficult as you got into real estate?
Oh, yeah. So I think finding the right brokerage for one,
Yeah.
especially when you don't know anything about real estate, you're like
That's a good
transitioning
one.
out of a whole different industry.
Hmm.
Educate yourself on finding the right brokerage for your lifestyle, for the amount of money you want to bring home, for
Yeah.
clientele, the marketing, whatever the resources they can provide you. Secondly, the easiest way to say this is make sure you have a little bit of savings behind you.
Yeah.
Going into this with $0, you're not going to get your license. That's the reality of it. If you don't have a
Yeah.
support system, build one first.
Yeah.
Get a little bit of savings. Make sure you do education on the brokerage you want to join. I had some personal stuff that happened to me during my first year that kind of forced me to take 8 weeks off. I had a major surgery, so
Oh
also
my
having a
gosh.
brokerage that understands, life happens,
Yeah.
and that still allows you to work. If you want to work through whatever's going on versus just sit taking a sideline. I think those are my biggest drawbacks from my first year was who was I working for, were we really partners? And is that something that were they a part of my dream as well, or was I just a part of their dream?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
those are great comments. And so when you think about going into your first year and you went through the required licensing education, you passed the exam, we always talk about how that doesn't really prepare you for the business of real estate, right? Like it gives you this sort of foundational knowledge set, right? But it doesn't really teach you like how to do the business of real estate. How
yeah.
did you learn it?
Really being hands on.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
thrown in. Thankfully, I had a broker who also was very passionate about coaching and teaching.
Good.
I think that that's important. He was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, we need to get hands on here because it gets dirty in real estate. Like you are your own boss, so you need to be disciplined." And those were things that he taught me from the jump. You need to know how to network and conversation. Communication is a skill. It is not something we all have.
Right.
So that is another big take back was I had to really do some on the job training, getting in there, getting my feet wet, throwing the signs, being that newbie at the marketing network places
Yeah.
that was like, "Hi, I'm Dawson. I just got my license. Can you tell me anything? Like, I know your wisdom is something I should have." Like, that was really how I hit the streets and got my hands wet. I was just getting out there doing it.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, Tina, I mean, it's not like you get hired for a job and you're reading the job description and you're like, yeah, I can do this job. And then you get there and you're like, oh, this job is a lot more than the description was. Yeah.
Right? Yes. Yeah, a little bit of everything, I'm sure. So when you were going through your first few transactions, did you have somebody that you could reach out to that you could ask questions of?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Leaning on my title people, leaning on my lenders,
Okay.
and leaning on my broker. They were the most knowledgeable individuals. And for your first transaction, I would say your first 10, 20 transactions, I think you will hit every if this could happen, do this situation next. You will go through all of them. And it is very important that you revert back to your broker. You ask those questions you have about title that you don't understand, and you communicate with your lenders and ask them what's going on and how you can be of help.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great that you had that network of people that you could rely on. Do you have any funny or interesting client stories or transactions that you would want to share with us?
Oh, yeah. Do I have any funny? Yes. Okay. So, when I first started selling homes, I worked with investment properties, specifically in wholesaling. Going into it, I didn't know what I was doing. None of the dots connected to tell the story about what I was doing. It was just like, I'm a licensed realtor. These are the opportunities presented to me. Like, I'm going to go tackle them. So I did. And getting into it, like selling investment properties, there was a real shock with like, this isn't your typical residential home where it's nice and pretty going
Right.
into it. I actually walked a house with a contractor one time, and unbeknownst to us, he fell through the floor. Like stepping in a spot that was
Oh,
covered by like a piece of wood that we didn't know wasn't, like actually stable. He fell right through the floor and man, he hurt himself so bad. But we were
oh,
just like laughing because that's what you get into in real estate. You just never
you
know
never know.
what you're going to do and how it's going to like, it hit you. And so you take everything with a grain of salt. And I'll tell you what, the next few houses we walked through, we were definitely like, oh my gosh, let's
Right?
say not because we were just a little nervous. But there have been times where I've walked into houses and people are in there squatting, and it's like, oh my gosh, like
Oh,
having
wow.
those interactions with those individuals, you definitely will have like funny, sad, scary stories to tell about real estate. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's all those things, and that's the reality of a real estate career, but it really is, you talked about the networking and the people. Talk
Yes.
about the people, like, when others are thinking about a career in real estate, how would you share with them, like, the interactions with others?
As far as you should
Yeah,
always be positive.
yeah,
You should be as patient as possible because
mhm,
those people, they are people. At the other side of this transaction, regardless of the goal that you're trying to achieve, you really need to
yeah,
remember these are people tied to this transaction. There's emotions, there's life that's happening on the other side of what is being said. And so you need to be respectful. You need to be patient and understanding. The best way for everybody to win is to come together as a team, with the other realtor and say, I want your clients to win. I want my clients to win. Our job is to make it happen for the both of them. How can we do that? And I think that that's the most valuable feedback as far as like when it comes to people being understanding that this although your business and although tied to, money, it's also lives, emotions, community that is tied to these
yeah,
transactions as well. Like you will have an impact. You want it to be positive. You
yeah,
yes.
yeah, I love that. So,
Mhm.
thinking about your clients or even the folks that called you because they had a question about real estate in their community
Yep.
because they saw your signs, how do you maintain relationships with them? Like, what are some of the things you do to stay connected?
You know, I love people. And
I
so
can tell.
following up with people is not a task for me. It's something
Yeah.
that I enjoy doing. I think that you need to become somebody who enjoys other people to be a realtor. So the follow up, because follow up is so key. Your cadence
Yeah.
will be the key to your business and be intentional about it.
Yeah.
I think that's most important is just having a good cadence, making sure everybody stays into it. Whatever your cadence is, 8 and 8, once every 6 days or whatever.
Hmm.
I still have people that I closed houses with, August of 2024. And I call them and they're like, hey, Dawson, I'm really glad you called me. Here's what's going on. Or I'm like, did you see that Thunder game? I know you loved it.
Right.
Like, be intentional about getting to know these individuals because you impact them on more than
Yeah.
just a transactional basis. I mean, it's their life.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So, for your week, your time, because you've mentioned a couple times, like you make sure to do this regularly and this regularly. How do you plan your week out? Because you're doing so many different things. Do
Yeah.
you have like certain times that you do things, or you always make sure you spend a certain number of hours on certain tasks? Like, tell me a little bit about how you plan your week and your time.
Yes, I love that question. It's very important to be strategic with your job. If you want to grow, be intentional and strategic. I make sure that I do 2 networking events a week. It doesn't matter what those networking events are, if it's with contractors, title people, lenders, other realtors, if it's going to, a pop in somewhere. I'm very intentional about that. I also put it on my calendar that I make, a certain amount of calls if I have leads available and that I'm throwing a certain amount of signs every week. I want to be specifically dedicating to myself to outsourcing my
Hmm.
business and not just what they say, post and pray. Um, I'm not that kind of girl. And so when it comes to my schedule specifically, marketing and outsourcing are very important, and networking. Those are my 3 top, like, do them. The follow-up would be the 4th one, and I think, like, Tuesdays and Thursdays are the best days for that. People are free.
Yeah.
I think, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays are great for calls, after 12 o'clock. That's kind of how I set my schedule up, and
Mhm.
I love doing the random pop-ins when realtors like, "Hey, do you wanna catch a lunch today? I really need you to meet this person." That's cool too. Make sure that's a priority for you. You can move all the other calls and the networking and throwing signs around for business that is right in front of you, for opportunities to grow that are right in front of you. So
Yeah.
make sure you have time for that as well.
Yeah. People talk about real estate being flexible with time, but
Yeah.
we always say, like, but that doesn't mean you don't work, right? Like, so
Yeah.
tell us about the flexibility and like how the time is and working evenings and weekends. Like, how does that work for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're the boss of your business. If you don't want to work weekends, that's just opportunities you're shutting yourself down for. That's okay. Don't work weekends. If you don't want to do holidays, you don't want to be available after 5, don't answer your phone. That's okay.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's your business. But for me, being available, if I want to get up at 9 a.m., I can get up at 9 a.m. If I want to get up at 6, I can. If I want to stop taking calls at 8, I can. But I'll be honest, people reach out to you when they need you. And it's hard to be like, I'm not available
Yeah.
this time when you need me. And so if it's a text message, I'm like, I just want you to know I got your message. I will get back to you as soon as possible. I'm going to review this and, gather that info or whatnot. Like I'm just intentional about like, putting a response in, pinging it somehow, and then getting back to it. Even if it's at a time where I'm not available. This situation with you and I today, Miss Tina, I know I shared with you, is kind of inconvenienced for me, but I was dedicated to getting this in because it's not about
Yeah.
me at the end of the day. And I'm aware of that as a realtor when other people are reaching out to me past 8 o'clock, 10 p.m. when I write contracts sometimes. It's
Yeah.
just what works best for them. And I
Yeah.
love helping. So,
And I think that's part of your success without a doubt, because you had a very successful first year in real estate. And
yeah.
what do you think was the catalyst? Like we talked about getting your first transaction. Did it just start flowing in after that? Like you got in your groove? Was there anything that you figured out or that just started clicking that helped you get those all your closings your first year?
Yeah. I think what was most helpful for me my first year in achieving all of the closing was like realizing a no is never truly a no, and that there's opportunities that knock behind every door. You do not need to stop just because a closing fell through or because you have 5 set up for this month. You need to continue going. I think that
Yeah.
was is I told Dawson, right? I told myself, I was like, Dawson, the only way we can be successful is to continue. That's having discipline, the diligence to just
Yeah.
every day matters, whatever it is that you're putting into it. You need to fall in love with your business. I fell in love with my business. I fell in love with my community that I was helping. And that really was the catalyst for me to have the most success. I think I gained the most referrals because I was a happy, positive person who
Yeah.
wanted to help. You know,
Yeah.
whatever it was you needed, I was willing to go out and do it for you. So,
Yeah. I see that, and I can definitely see you love what you do.
yeah.
Um, so what's next for you? Where do you see yourself in, say, 5 years?
Oh my gosh, in 5 years, y'all, I wanna move out of this country.
Okay. Wait,
In reality, I
yeah?
want to have yeah, I will in 5 years, Dawson will be 35, and I don't have any children. Maybe I will, who knows? But
Who
I hope to
knows?
have such an equity built up in my rental portfolio or with my spouse that I can leave the country and maybe do real estate in a different country.
I
Do you
was
know
gonna
how cool
ask.
Yes.
Yeah.
It would be so cool to sell beach houses, please,
Yeah. Okay, so
we still do real estate.
I love it. So we'll be looking for you maybe over in Europe or somewhere else selling
Yeah,
homes if anyone's looking. That's great.
I'm
So
on HGTV.
yeah, I love it. I love it. So, any tips or tricks that you would like to share with aspiring real estate agents?
Yeah. Go for it. Full blast. Don't stop. Don't be afraid.
That's good.
Just keep going. If you are having a down day, realize that it is a day. it is not your life and it is not the trajectory of your business. Keep going.
Yeah, that's fabulous. So, Dawson, we're going to go into our lightning round. It's just sort of a fun, casual couple of questions, 60 seconds or less, just a couple personal things.
Okay.
So, humor me if you will. But can you share either a book that you've read or a podcast you've listened to that you would recommend to our audience?
Yes. Yes. First off, Mel Gibson's Let Them Theory really sank in for me during my real estate transaction. Like, it was very important to just take in that people are going to be themselves and you need to let them, and that you need to be you. Um, Also, Ninja Selling. Absolutely love that book. I'm a big audiobook girl. I can digest a whole book, I think, in a day if I'm really into it. And I think those two books, and specifically, oh, I'm so sorry, Tina. I apologize. When I first started real estate, my broker told me to read Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits like set my mentality up for success my first year of real estate. And I would highly suggest that book above all, because without that book, I don't know if I would have kept that mentality of we have to keep going. I have goosebumps right now. This is important, y'all. Atomic Habits. It set me up for success. I fully believe that.
Yes. And you know what? We'll take all three. And I
Yeah.
have heard that from a couple other folks before. Um, Great, great recommendations. So, Dawson, if we had a time machine and you could go back to the day you started this journey, what advice would you give yourself, or what might you do differently?
Oh my gosh. She really is putting me on the spot here. Oh. What would I tell myself? I would tell myself, stick with the broker who believes in you the most. Stick with them. They will change your life.
Yeah. Yeah. And you
Yep.
talked about that earlier being so important to find the right
Yes.
brokerage and the right broker. Yeah, that's strong advice for sure. Uh,
Yes. I think a lot of people get into real estate and they have no idea and they just
yeah.
hop into somebody and then they find out after the fact. Like, do your due diligence, just do some research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you find you're not in the right place, you
Yeah.
can move,
You
right?
can move.
You can move. You're
You
never
can
stuck.
always move.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid. I think a lot of people don't know that either. It's like, you can move.
Yeah.
It's your choice.
Yeah.
Interview them.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
And it's same with anybody in your life. Like surround yourself with the people that bring you up for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so if you could have dinner with one person, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Dead or alive, I could have dinner with one person. Okay, y'all. So in my personal life, I am experiencing a loss, and it's actually the second loss that I've had in 2 years. And it's two very important ladies in my life. And if I had to choose, like, who I'd have dinner with, I think I would call either upon my mom or my sister. And like, I'm sorry, Tina, what did you ask? What would I ask them?
Just who would it be and why?
Yeah, I think it would either be
Yeah.
my mom or my sister. And why? Because I feel
Yeah.
like there are so many things left unsaid between me and these ladies. I wish that I could just have a moment to gather some wisdom for them and take it into this future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know the timing's really sensitive and I appreciate your comments there and I wish you could have another dinner with them.
Yeah. Thank you, Miss Tina. I
Yeah.
would wholeheartedly do it.
Yeah, I know it. And really appreciate you taking the time to be here with us today and have these conversations. I think you're giving back in such a beautiful way, and I'm just thrilled with the success that you've had. Your first year going into your next couple of years. Dawson, where can listeners or viewers find you, connect with you, and follow your journey?
Oh, that's so sweet. On Facebook, Dawsen
Okay.
Harbison. That is me. I'm
Yeah,
on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. Um,
you're
it's
everywhere.
really just look me up.
I love it.
I also
Perfect.
have been posting a lot about my life, so like, yeah, you can find me.
That's wonderful. Well, appreciate you spending the time with us today, sharing your journey, some great advice. We've got some great golden nuggets in there. I think you'll be such an inspiration to individuals who are considering a career in real estate or maybe already got licensed and looking for how to get started. So appreciate your time, and I wish you much continued success.
Thank you, Miss Tina.
Thanks for tuning in to Unlocking Real Estate, My First Commission. We hope today's stories and insights inspired you to take that next step in your real estate journey. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode, or head over to our channel to see some of the other content we've produced. We'd also love to hear from you. Drop a comment below with your biggest takeaway or a question for our next guest. If you have a recommendation for someone we should interview, please send a note to unlockingrealestate@colibrirealestate.com.